There are lots of little girls, I'm sure, who are very fond of ponies, riding ponies. I don't know if you ride ponies. Do you ride any horses? Do you? Yeah, do you like them? I bet you do. I actually have to say I wasn't one of the little girls that liked horses. Ever since I was sort of unceremoniously unseated by my dad's horse, Durban. But this little girl in this poem, Hunter Trials, likes them very much indeed.
It's awfully bad luck on Diana. Her ponies have swallowed their bits. She fished down their throats with a spanner and frightened them all into fits. So now she's attempting to borrow. Do lend her some bits, Mummy, do. I'll lend her my own for tomorrow, but today I'll be wanting them too. Just look at Prunella on Guzzle, the wizardest pony on earth. Why doesn't she slacken his muzzle and tighten the breech on his girth? I say, Mummy, there's Mrs. Geezer. Doesn't she look pretty sick? I bet it's because Mona Lisa was hit on the hop with a brick. Miss Blewett says Monica threw it, but Monica says it was Joan, and Joan's very thick with Miss Blewett, so Monica's sulking alone. And Margaret failed in her paces, her withers got tied in a noose, so her coronet's caught in the traces, and now all her fetlocks are loose. Oh, it's me now. I'm terribly nervous. I wonder if Smudges will shy. She's practically certain to swerve as her pelham is over one eye. Oh, wasn't it naughty of Smudges? Oh, Mummy, I'm sick with disgust. She threw me in front of the judges, and my silly old collarbones bust.
This is a poem by Lord Byron, which I'm sure a lot of you will know. And he wrote it in response to, he went to a party and he saw a girl. Byron was always seeing girls. He saw this beautiful girl with very black hair and a beautiful long dress covered in spangles. And he was completely overwhelmed by her. As far as we know, he didn't follow it up, but he wrote this immediately after the party. She walks in beauty, like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent.
I wanted to tell you a little bit about, not really just about the book I've written, but it's something that I held as a secret to myself for a long time. As I mentioned, I was born in India, in Kerala, down in South India, where my father and my grandfather were tea planters. And as was the custom with all the people who were part of the kind of British Raj, I suppose, they sent their children home, they called home, to be educated, to get a good education. And I was one of them. My sister was 10 and I was not quite 6 when I got sent to a boarding school in Scotland. It must have been very hard for my parents, I have to think, but anyway, leaving us behind. I wasn't very happy at the school where I was in Scotland, but it was my good fortune that it got closed down when I was not quite 12. Because it was discovered, the Ministry of Education actually closed it down because it was discovered that there were virtually no qualified teachers in the school. It was just and so it came as no surprise really to anybody when I went to my secondary school, which was very happy. I went to a very lovely school in West Sussex called West Preston Manor, boarding school again. But I was holding this terrible secret to my heart that nobody knew about except my sister, my older sister Fiona. But it was discovered on my second day. We were doing reading and writing class, and the girls were all taking it in turns to read round the class. And we were reading, I remember, from Lorna Doone. And I thought, what am I going to do? It's going to be my turn in a minute, and everybody will know. Because what I knew and had known for years was that I couldn't read. And there I was nearly 12, and I couldn't read. So I stood up and I made up the story of Lorna Doone as I thought it was going to turn out. And of course all the girls laughed and I started to cry. And luckily there was a completely wonderful teacher in my class called Miss Evans who said, "Sit down, Isla. You're a brave girl, but you must be a frightened girl because you can't read, can you?" "No, miss, I can't." And what was fantastic about Miss Evans was that she got all the girls on side with me and she said, "I think we'll help her, won't we, girls? That's what we'll do." So every break time and every lunch time, when the girls had a moment, their spare time, they would very kindly take me through the Janet and John books that they, of course, left behind years before. And it wasn't very long before I was reading and couldn't stop reading. And it's kind of strange that I use words in a way as tools of my trade. I feel very, very passionately about literacy. I work for the Lord Mayor of London's campaign, literacy campaign, because ironically, my parents, thinking that they were doing the right thing for me by sending me home for good education, where I left Kerala in India, they have 94% literacy. And I discovered when I was working for the Lord Mayor of London's literacy campaign that in inner London, 1 in 4 children leave primary school at the age of 11 unable to read. And I was one of them. And I'm not dyslexic and I'm not stupid. I just hadn't found the key. Somebody hadn't given me the key to unlock whatever door it was that was able to enable me to walk into this wonderful world of books. So I feel very passionately, and my book is, I've bought a few copies of my book over there, which mentions my reading thing and mentions my early life in India. It's only not about my career, it's just about my early life in India. And if anybody buys it, the proceeds are going to volunteer Reading Help, which is one of the charities that you're very kindly supporting here tonight. So that's really what I wanted to say about that. It took me years to confess that I couldn't read, but I can't stop talking about it now. I'm going to read now a poem with great cheek, really, because for many, many years I went round the world with Derek Jacobi in a sort of 2-person show about the life of Lord Byron. Derek is Lord Byron, of course, and I played all his kind of significant ladies, and whom there were many. And I used to listen every night to Derek reading this poem, and I can't read it a quarter as well as he can, but it's my favourite poem, really, I think, in the world, and I've asked Derek to read it at my funeral. It's called "We'll Go No More A-Roving." So, we'll go no more a-roving, so late into the night, though the heart be still as loving, and the moon be still as bright. For the sword outwears its sheath, and the soul wears out the breast, and the heart must pause to breathe, and love itself have rest. Though the night was made for loving, and the day returns too soon, yet we'll go no more a-roving by the light of the moon.
William Shakespeare, as we know, wrote many sonnets, 154. Some of them are rather difficult to read. They're all so wonderfully profound. Some are very easy to read. And my favourite is one which is very easy to read, and I think is a favourite of many other people too. It has the famous line in it, well, everything Shakespeare writes has famous lines in it, "Darling Buds of May," which some of you will remember the television series called that. And it entirely fulfills the last line of the poem, "So long lives this, and this gives life to thee," meaning that the love, this person, will live forever and ever and ever. When he wrote this poem, he believed it, and the fact that I'm standing up here tonight in 2012 reading it aloud means that his prophecy came true. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe, or eye can see, so long live this, and this gives life to thee.
This poem's a short poem about friendship, by Elizabeth Jennings. Such love I cannot analyse. It does not rest in lips or eyes, neither in kisses nor caress. Partly I know its gentleness and understanding in one word, or in brief letters, is preserved by trust and by respect and awe. These are the words I'm feeling for. Two people, yes, two lasting friends. The giving comes, the taking ends. There is no measure for such things. For this all nature slows and sings.
This, you'll all have read Wind in the Willows, will you? And this is a poem written by Ratty, that man who so adored the river he could never live anywhere else. All along the backwater, through the rushes tall, ducks are a-dabbling, up tails all. Ducks' tails, drakes' tails, yellow feet a-quiver, yellow bills all out of sight, busy in the river. Slushy green undergrowth where the roach swim, here we keep our larder, cool and full and dim. Every one for what he likes. We like to be heads down, tails up, dabbling free. High in the blue above, swift swirl and call. We are down a-dabbling, up tails all.
It's another poem about a donkey. I love donkeys, and I think they're so abused all around the world. But there's a wonderful donkey charity actually called Brook's. I don't know if you know it, but it's well worth looking at their website because it's lovely. Anyway, well, it's not lovely because it's very unhappy. The poor donkey's not very happy. When fishes flew and forests walked and figs grew upon thorn, some moment when the moon was blood, then surely I was born. With monstrous head and sickening cry and ears like errant wings, the devil's walking parody on all four-footed things. The tattered outlaw of the earth, of ancient crooked will, starve, scourge, deride me, I am dumb, I keep my secret still. Fools, for I also had my hour, one far fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about my ears and palms beneath my feet.